Hi, this is Maria Mandarino. Thank you for being here with me today. Today we're going to talk about what it's like dealing with toxic people through the lens of your Enneagram type. Some ways of managing that and dealing with that. We'll be looking at that today. Before we jump into the episode, though, I would like to ask you to remember to like, comment, and share the episode. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, if you would please do that. I've been looking at our statistics, and a lot of people are watching episodes without subscribing. So if you believe that this material is important, if it's helpful to you, it really does help the channel to grow. And of course, I'd love for you to be alerted to future episodes and projects that I'm working on. So if you're inclined, please click that subscribe button because it will help us out and you'll also be informed. If you would like to work with me, I'll put the link in the show notes, but it's mariamandarino.com. That's the website. And I do offer a free discovery call there. So if you're interested in working with me online, it gives us a chance to meet and see if we'll be a good fit. If my style is something that you resonate with. So that is available through the website. I do spiritual direction with the Enneagram or without it. So totally up to the person I'm working with. I also will integrate the astrological chart with some people if you're interested in doing that and overlapping with with the Enneagram. That is also available. If you are local to the Phoenix Valley, I am also an acupuncturist, and you are welcome to look into scheduling an appointment with me for that. I also do Enneagram informed acupuncture in the office here. So what that accomplishes is it brings together, and this is a program for the acupuncture informed Enneagram informed acupuncture. This is where we're using the acupuncture to settle out the nervous system, calm the shen, as we say in Chinese medicine, calm the spirit, get you aligned with your spirit so you remember who you are and what you came here to do and who you came here to be. And then it's an Enneagram discussion that comes with that session. And then we explore the Enneagram once we do settle out your nervous system and that you're clear enough to discuss these things through your Enneagram lens. So it's kind of special work that I do. I also do traditional acupuncture and a few other things that you'll find on the website. So please check that out. Okay. So today we're going to talk about dealing with toxic people through the awareness of your Enneagram type. And in alignment with that, we're also going to be talking about where our wounds are in our Enneagram type, because when we're dealing with toxic people, first of all, we're dealing with people who have typically not done their work. And a lot of times their goal is to dump the work that they haven't done on those who have, right? So, and that's going to be more difficult for certain types. We'll talk about that as we break this down. But yeah, it's easy for that hook to get into us energetically when somebody hasn't done their work. We have this awareness, and all of a sudden, no matter how aware we are, we can find ourselves down this slippery slope, and kind of not know how we got there. But all we know is that we don't feel too good. And there are basically 9 ways to not feel so good when you are dealing with a toxic person. And these can be loved ones, people in your family, relationships that you're in, people that you work with, um, various people, your neighbors. It could be, a series of anybody who's basically behaving badly and making you feel thrown off center. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to be looking at today in the energetics. And this is how I work with the Enneagram, because I am an acupuncturist. I'm a spiritual director, but I'm also an acupuncturist. So I'm looking at the energetic component most times when I am working with somebody with the Enneagram and looking for their where they're struggling, where they can use their Enneagram to alleviate the struggle. Okay, so you might hear some of that in today's episode. Okay, so we're going to go in order of the types. We're going to start with type 1. So when you're dealing with a toxic individual, type 1, now this the first part of this you're going to be good at, because it's one of your superpowers. Set clear boundaries, right? Type 1s are pretty good at setting boundaries. Hold firm to your principles. Usually type ones are pretty good at that one too. Here's where you might get caught up. Stop trying to fix the other person. Stop trying to fix the toxic person. Because first of all, Lord knows they probably have a lot of fixing that could be done. It's not your job. Okay. You have the ability, because that inner critic can really run. And so it doesn't just run about your own things that you could criticize, but other people's, because you want to perfect the people around you, right? Because you see things that they don't, and you want to kind of reform that, right? That's what we call type 1, the reformer. So just remember, it's not your job to fix this person who needs to be doing their own work. Here's the other hard part. They may never do their work. They may never get there. They may be here, and this goes for all 9 types, by the way. They may be here for one sole purpose, to teach other people how to do their work. Okay. So remember that, because type 1s have the ability to make things better, the desire, I shouldn't say the ability, but the desire to make things better. So you've got a toxic person, and this desire to make them non-toxic is going to kick up for you. So be aware of that. And this gets to your wound of, watch it when you hit the perfect button, right? Where's that coming from? What in you needs to be worked on to get yourself out of this desire to create perfection. So be aware of that's where your wound is, and how this, toxic individual can affect you. Okay, so keep to your boundaries, hold firm to your principles. Be wary of trying to fix this other person who needs to be doing their work, not your job to do it for them. Type 2, prioritize your well-being. This one's a tough one for twos. Twos struggle with this one, right? So prioritize your well-being by recognizing, here's another tough one, when to say no. And here's the third tough one, when to resist the urge to overhelp. Okay, so even if they're not asking you for something, and you see this toxic person, and twos have empathy, right? They're very empathetic people. So you're aware that this toxic person is wounded, and you're going to tap into that, right? So so be aware of that, because again, just like I said with type 1, this person has their own work to do, and they're not your job. They're not your job, and they can learn how to play a 2 pretty easily, by the way. They can, not that they're learning how to play the 2, but they learn how to play the energy that the 2 brings. So don't let them press those buttons that make you want to, to step in, anticipate their needs, do the things that will, help them, which really will end up draining you. So yeah, resist that urge, and remember, because 2s like to help in order to gain recognition and love. Remember that you are loved and you are valued, and that doesn't have to be handled on the exchange of, if I do something for them, they will love me. If I do something for them, they will value you. Remember that you have value, whether there's a quid pro quo going on or not. Okay, and toxic people, there's some types that they're going to gravitate toward easier. My belief is type 2s could be one of those types. So, be aware when you're being sucked into somebody's drama. Be aware of when you feel the need to fix, or feel like you're fixing, or help, overhelp somebody who seems to be having a hard time perennially. Okay, and that's the key with a toxic person. The drama is always high. Okay, type 3s. I would say focus on your true goals. Stay clear on what those true goals are. And avoid getting distracted. So we know 3s can do that, because 3s want to reach all the goals. They want to do all the things. They want all that recognition for meeting the goals, right? So don't get distracted, because toxic people have a really excellent way of creating lots of distractions for you to take on as goals to fix. And not just fix for the 3, it's succeeding at meeting those goals that this crazy making toxic person is bringing, and bringing pretty much to your doorstep. Okay, so don't engage, focus on your goals, not get distracted by the goals they seem to bring your way, the projects that they bring your way, and the ways they may be trying to win your approval, because that's a real easy piece of bait for the three to take. So don't take it if the toxic person is trying to dangle the carrot of this great goal that you can meet and be recognized for that. So be careful with that. And remember that it's not about winning, it's not about succeeding, it's not about achieving. It's about you being loved for who you are, not what you do. Okay. So when that toxic behavior with somebody kicks in, just remember it's about you being loved for being you, not being loved for what you do and the goals that you meet and what you're successful at. Don't let them suck you into that. Okay. Type 4. I think type 4s can get drawn into this pretty easily too. I mean, obviously the heart types are going to have the hardest, well, they're going to react more on the emotional level is probably the better way to say this. We're all going to react. All 9 types are going to react in their own way. So type 4, a really important thing when you're dealing with a toxic person, protect your emotional space. Okay, another way of saying that I would say is protect your heart. Protect your emotional space by not internalizing the negativity / drama of others, and work on maintaining your own sense of self. Okay. It's easy for 4s to get caught up in feeling like they're not enough. Something in them is missing. So they'll start trying kind of hard to almost meet the energy of this toxic person so that they can be viewed as enough, and they can be viewed as having value. 4s, I would say part of their wound has to do with abandonment. At some level, they felt abandoned by someone that was key to their experience. So if they feel the threat of someone going away, or someone might not love them, or someone might not value them or see their value, or someone might think that something's missing from them, that's a hard thing for the 4, and that's going to be your potential trap. Okay, so be keenly aware. 4s, your sensitivity and you're pretty quick studies. Not the only type that is, but the 4s that I know are pretty quick studies. So stay connected to that. Slow it down. If you feel somebody pulling you into their drama, you're going to be inclined, because you like to go deep, right? You like to do deep, deep feelings. Toxic people, man, they'll introduce you some deep, deep feelings. Okay. So, and you're going to hear me say this for other types too. Don't take the bait. Okay. Remember your emotional space, your heart, protect it. Okay. And remember, as I've said before, their work is not your work. You can't ever make anybody else do their work, even though you may know exactly what that work is that needs to be done. You may sense their wounding. You're also empathetic, right? And you may, really know where that deep conversation has to come in, and you may have the best advice for them, okay, the best insights for them. They're not in it for the insights, okay? Toxic people, that's not what they're in the game for, okay? So remember that, protect your heart, okay? Type 5s, you'll know this one. Limit your emotional investment. Okay. Be careful with this, 5s, because you can also shut down, right? Because 5s can do that. 5s hoard their time, right? 5s are the boundary kings and queens. But, assess what you've got going on. And if you're being pulled down into something by this toxic individual, limit your emotional investment, limit your availability, because they want to tango with you and you're a head type, right? You want to have those conversations and you want to tell them what they know and what they don't know and what they're missing and what they need to learn, right? Because you are an authority, because you have learned things. You're an observer, you're a learner, you're a researcher, right? So you have things to share. You have information to share, and you love to do that, okay? And toxic people like to bring it into their dance, okay? So be careful, limit your emotional investment, limit how quickly you are sharing information you know, that pearls before swine, don't catch pearls before swine, right? So be careful. You have a lot of good information. You probably don't want that. They want your energy. What's the one thing you fear losing more than anything? Your energy. Okay. So be careful. That's where your dance is going to happen with a toxic person. Okay. So observe the situation objectively, get a pulse on what's going on. You're an observer. You can do this probably better than any of the types. Maybe 6 is pretty good with this too. And then keep your distance, cut off the flow when necessary. Okay. Don't go deep. Okay. Don't go deep with the information. Don't go deep with the knowledge, with the, all the cerebral stuff. Don't go deep with it. Okay. It's not what the toxic person really wants. They want your energy. They basically want the energy of the 9 types. Okay. But because 5s perceive themselves as being low in energy anyway, that's a slippery slope for you guys. So be aware of that. Remember, you are responsible for your boundaries, and that boundaries are a way for you to express your own love of yourself, self-love. Okay, so keep to your boundaries. Type 6, trust your instincts when dealing with a toxic person. Kind of similar to the 5s, don't get too much into your head. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze the situation. Um, if it looks like it's something and it feels like it's something, trust that it's what you think, what you're feeling and thinking, right? So stay grounded in your values, trust your values, trust your instincts, stay true to yourself. Don't get caught up in that. I don't know if it is, maybe I'm reading this wrong. Don't get caught up in indecisiveness. They'll take you down. Okay. Trust your instincts. So one thing we usually rely on, 6 is 4 when we're, in groups or relationships with, a type 6, we trust you. We count on you guys, I should say, to trust your instincts and to have great instincts. So listen to them. I would say when it comes to looking at the wound of the 6, remember it's safe for you to trust. And, we say the journey of the 6 is the journey of faith. Another way for me to say that is start with your divine essence. To me, that's what faith is trusting that inner piece of yourself that is connected to divinity. Okay, so trust your divine essence, your link to creation, to God, whatever word you use for divine essence. Okay, trust it and start there. Okay, type 7s. So one of the rare times I'd probably say this to a 7: keep your options open. Right. Usually we don't want 7s to do that because that's where they can, escape and try many things and just not be present to what is. And usually they're trying to get away from pain and escape the unpleasant. In this case, if you're dealing with a toxic person, 7, I want you to keep your options open in a healthy way, though. Okay, not in a running away, escape kind of mentality. And the reason I want you to keep your options open is so you can avoid getting trapped, because what's the one thing that terrifies you, right? You don't want to be trapped. So avoid getting trapped, and recognize when a relationship has the potential to consume you, okay, and to suck you in. All right. So before you, run and escape and run away from the thing that might trap you, which legitimately really may in this case, be sure to hit the pause button and observe and assess first. Okay. Zoom always does that. So I love when that thumb, because I didn't actually put my thumb up, but somehow Zoom thought I did. So I always take that as some kind of some kind of extra boost from the universe. So yeah, so before you run, type 7, observe and assess. Remember to keep your options open. Don't get drawn in and trapped by the toxic individual. Type 8. It's another interesting one when it comes to dealing with toxic people. Because you want to take charge, right? You want to you're the challenger, right? You're the leader, you're the protector. And if you see something that you just think needs to be called out, you're gonna do it. Okay. So my suggestion would be first assert your power calmly. Okay, so keep it in check. Calmly and decisively. I mean, be rooted and grounded in how you assert your power. Um, ensure that you're not being manipulated by others' agendas. So I think that's another way of saying, be careful not to take the bait. And what taking the bait can look like for an 8, somebody that is manipulating you, right? And you're asserting your power, and you're not paying attention, and you're being a very full 8, you can lose your temper. Okay. And likely that a toxic person who's trying to engage with an 8 or manipulate an 8, it's likely they really want you to blow up, because then they can do what? What can they do? They can say, you are awfully toxic. Do you know that? Okay. So you don't want that to happen. All right. So, be aware of your power, assert your power, do it in a calm and grounded manner. And then I would suggest walking away. Okay. Don't engage. Okay. Remember, you're not going to change them until they're ready to do their work, if and when they ever are. Okay. So be careful, type 8s, because out of everybody, you're the ones that are going to blow up. Okay. And that's going to really work in the favor of the toxic person, because all the blame is going to go to you. All right. Type 9, last but not least, right? Type 9, maintain your inner peace by not absorbing others' conflicts and focusing on what matters to you. So for type 9s, you guys want to merge, right? That's the ultimate beauty in life, is to merge with another human being, to really create understanding, because when we have understanding, we can avoid conflict, right? We can all be harmonious when we understand each other. When you're dealing with a toxic person who isn't doing their work and has no intention of doing their work, merging with them or attempting to merge with them can be really damaging to the 9. Okay, because especially if you're earnest in really wanting to create harmony, really wanting to get to know this person, what makes them tick, with the goal of maintaining peace and harmony, um, they're not going to let you get there. Okay, they're not going to let the merging happen, but manipulation will happen. Okay, and it often will backfire on you and end up looking like conflict, which is the one thing that you guys don't want, right? So don't get absorbed by their conflict slash trauma, right? Because that's another way that a toxic person brings conflict your way. For type 9, they bring drama, right? So what's 9's first reaction to drama? It's usually, how can I buff this out and make this person feel, happy? And how can I just make this peaceful? How can I make this, upset, angry, semi-hysterical person? How can I make them peaceful? How can I get to know them? How can I merge with them and create harmony? If they're in that state and they're not doing their work, you ain't gonna get there. Okay. But what they will do is take every ounce of goodness out of you. And they will force you into conflict. They will drain you, but they'll also force you into conflict. So that's something that you definitely don't want. That's where you lose your energy, right? Is being brought into unconscious, conflict. And when I say that, I should say like a lower consciousness conflict. So be careful about narcotizing type 9s, okay? Because that's where you're going to fall asleep to yourself, and then you're going to find yourself caught up in this storm of this toxic person's drama, and it's not going to feel good, and then it's going to make you want to narcotize further. So be careful, stay awake, okay? Stay awake. Don't numb out. That can be dangerous ground when you're dealing with a toxic person. It's exactly the energy that they're looking for. It's exactly the pulse they're hoping to find in you. Okay, so to sum up, So if you're working your Enneagram, which I hope you are, and if you are not, please reach out. This is what I do. So please reach out if this is something that you don't really know how to handle. But if you do, here's where you go. First place, explore the higher attributes of your type, right? And know the lower attributes too, because if some of those buttons are getting pushed, that's information. Okay. So be aware of, or your lower attribute behaviors, your lower behaviors, I should say, coming to the surface, and just keep an eye on the bright and beautiful stuff that you bring to the Enneagram dance. Okay. So be aware of those higher attributes. Keep an eye on if the lower ones are coming up. Here's the other one. Explore your security line with the goal. So your security line is how you attain goals, how you um, how you get your needs met when you're trying to reach a goal, where you go in the Enneagram, or I should say where you pull your energy from. That's from your security line. So if you don't know this, again, reach out, because this is the work that I do. But if you do know your Enneagram, look to your security line, because that's the energy you can pull on board to reach the goal of not being sucked in by the toxic person, right? So it's setting the goal of, I'm not going to take this bait, right? So use some of that energy that you can take from your security line. I think that's a good use of your Enneagram energy and the access that you have. So use that security line with the goal of not being pulled into this person's toxicity or drama. Um, and lastly, be aware of your stress line, because like in your lower expression, right? So if those lower expressions of your primary type come up, like that's information, right? That you're having a hard time, right? So those lower shadow behaviors are coming up. But also be aware if your stress line is starting to be expressed, and you're seeing that some of that behavior coming up to the surface, and you're starting to behave according to the lower expressions of that type. Again, information, right? And this is the thing the toxic person doesn't have or doesn't want to work with, right? You do. You're on the journey of awareness. So these are the places, and trust me, just because you're on the journey of awareness doesn't mean that there aren't buttons that are going to be pushed. We all get our buttons pushed. I mean, no one ever reaches the top of the mountain. We're all climbing it, but no one's there. So some people are a little further ahead on the road, but no one's there, because we wouldn't still be here. So that's our journey. So be aware of these things. Be aware of where you can go. Be aware of what's surfacing that tells you, hey, there's a problem here, and we've got to redirect our energy. We've got to work with our own awareness. It's not about changing somebody else's awareness, or making them Enneagram informed. That's not how the Enneagram works. It's not telling somebody where their Enneagram issues are. It's knowing where your Enneagram issues are, and how you can make yourself more whole and more complete, through your type and through the options options for awareness that the Enneagram can give you. So yeah, so I wanted to leave you with those, the places within the Enneagram map where you can dance when you're, dealing with a situation like, a toxic person. And, I wish I could tell you otherwise, but there's no shortage of them on the planet. So we always have opportunities. Okay. So some other things you can do, some energetic balancing that's not specific to the types, but some types might resonate more with some of these and more with others, maybe. Take what you need. Prayer, and whatever that looks like for you, whatever tradition you are in, or no tradition. I work with a lot of people who do not have a traditional practice, and we, together, we help you form your own, right? So whatever prayer gets to look like for you, use it. Okay, prayer is powerful. Meditation practice, regular practice is what's important. If you're just meditating here and there, it makes it really hard to use that energy. But yeah, meditation. Regular meditation practice can certainly help you. And again, if that's something that you don't know enough about, it's something I do work with people in spiritual direction. Things like mantras can help, like these phrases that similar to prayer, but just like a phrase or a word that you may repeat, like, just maybe peace, or I wish you peace. And just repeat that word over and over, or that phrase over and over. Can have a healing energy to it. Chanting or prayer. Chanting is another type of prayer, I should say. And there are many traditions for chanting as well. So it's something, if you do that, or if you want to explore that, do so, because, it's vibrational medicine. Chanting is vibrational medicine, right? So singing is another way we can do this. And then there are clearing practices, what I call them. Um, Putting maybe some lavender essential oil in a spray bottle with water, spraying it around, your home. You might not be able to do this in your workplace if you're working with a toxic person, but if you can do that somewhere, that can be helpful. Saging, if you can do that wherever you are, you might not be able to, but that's another option. Um, Sprinkling sea salt around can help. It creates an energetic boundary that helps clear and protect. And rescue remedies. So you may know that I work with the Bach flower remedies. I am a certified Bach flower practitioner. So the Bach flowers are energetic form of medicine, similar to homeopathy, but more geared toward not the physical, but the emotional. And we work with 38 different types of remedies, but there's one formula called Rescue Remedy. It's a pre-done formula. You can get it at any health food store or online. And it's a pre-done mix. We call it the crisis formula. So when you're dealing with a toxic person, you're probably dealing with a couple of crises here and there. The nice thing about Rescue Remedy, well, a few things. You can take it internally, and there are instructions on the bottle for how to do that. 4 drops 4 times a day. So that's one thing you can do. You can also put those 4 drops in a water bottle, like with the essential oils, and you can actually do it with the essential oil. You can put both of these things together, but if you're in a place where you can't use the essential oils because of the fragrance, the flower remedies don't have fragrances. So you can just put them in a bottle of water, distilled water, and just spray it around, and no one's going to be the wiser. So if it's at the office and the person goes to lunch, just kind of clear the air while they're away, and they won't even know. But it resets the energy in a room, and it will help. It will help you. You can spray it just around yourself, just around your own aura. Again, you can take them internally. You can just take the drops. So these are ways we can help ourselves. But remember, as we say with the Enneagram, it's an inside job, right? Dealing with a toxic person, put that one first on your list. Their work is not your work. I mean, I wish it were that easy, because there's so many people, anybody watching this channel right now, with the information that you know about the Enneagram, no matter how far along this path you are, even if you don't know much about the Enneagram, you could probably really help people. Okay. But if you're trying to help somebody who doesn't want to be helped, they're not in it to be helped, they're just in it to make some chaos and indulge themselves, and they never learned any differently, they're not your job. Okay, so I leave you with that. Please remember, again, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Remember to check out the website, mariamandarino.com. And again, that'll be in the show notes. Please remember to like, share, and comment. Look forward to hearing your comments, and I will see you here next time. Thanks. Bye.